The containment field hummed with a sickly purple glow as Lena Carter pressed herself against the far wall of her cage. 9 years old, with dirt-streaked cheeks and torn clothes, she watched the massive figures circling outside with wide, terrified eyes. But beneath that terror, something else burned. Something the Korvath had not anticipated when they'd captured the human child from the ruins of Colony Station 7. Gorthak stood 3 meters tall, his midnight black fur rippling over muscles that could crush steel. As war chief of the Korvath pack, he had led his warriors across 17 star systems, leaving nothing but ash and screams in their wake. They called themselves the apex predators of the galaxy, and for good reason. Their species had evolved from the deadliest hunting primates on their homeworld, creatures that made Earth's great apes look like house pets. "This one is small," growled Ragnar, his second-in-command, bearing fangs the size of daggers. "Barely worth the effort." Gorthak's yellow eyes studied the girl. Humans were rare this far into contested space. Their colony ships had been easy prey, their defenses laughable. Yet something about this particular specimen made his combat instincts flare. She should have been cowering, weeping, broken. Instead, she stood. "Please." Lena's voice trembled but held firm. "I need to get back to my mom and dad. They're hurt. They need me." The Korvath warriors erupted in barking laughter. Gorthak silenced them with a gesture. In his 3 decades of warfare, he had seen countless species beg for mercy. But this was different. This wasn't begging. This was negotiating. "Your parents are dead, human whelp," he rumbled, his translator rendering his words in her language. "Your colony is destroyed. You are spoils of war." Lena's hands clenched into tiny fists. Tears streamed down her face, but she didn't look away. "You're wrong. My dad's a rescue worker. He taught me how to survive anything. And my mom's a doctor. If they're hurt, they'll be helping others. That's what humans do." Something flickered in Gorthak's chest, an unfamiliar sensation. "Weakness, perhaps?" He snarled it away. "Enough talk. The specimen will be sold at the slave markets on Drogath Prime." He turned to leave. That's when Lena did something unthinkable. She kicked the containment field. The energy barrier flared, sending feedback through the control systems. Alarms shrieked. Lena screamed as electricity coursed through her small body, but she didn't stop. She kicked again. And again. Blood ran from her nose, her hands trembling from the shock, but her eyes, those defiant human eyes, never lost their fire. "Stop!" Gorthak roared, deactivating the field. Lena collapsed, gasping. "You'll kill yourself, fool child." "I don't care," she sobbed, struggling to her knees. "I have to get back. They need me."
"Humans don't leave each other behind."
The war chief's massive hand could have crushed her skull. Instead, it hovered in the air, trembling. In that moment, Gorthak saw something that shook him to his core. This wasn't prey. This wasn't food or a slave or a trophy. This was a warrior. Smaller, weaker, impossibly fragile, but a warrior nonetheless. "Chief," Ragnar growled a warning. "What are you doing?" Gorthak didn't answer. He remembered his own cub, lost decades ago in a raid when his pack was still young. He remembered how his mate had fought to the death trying to protect their offspring. He remembered the fury, the desperation, the love that made even the weakest creature dangerous. And he saw it now, burning in this human child's eyes. "Scan the colony ruins," he commanded. "Search for survivors." "Chief?" His warriors barked in confusion. "Do it!" The command echoed through the ship. Lena stared up at him, confusion replacing fear. "Why?" Gorthak knelt, bringing his terrifying face level with hers. "Because, young warrior, you have shown me something I had forgotten. Strength is not measured in claws or fangs or the number of enemies you have slain. True strength." He paused, searching for words in a language that had no term for what he felt. "True strength is fighting when you have already lost. Fighting not for yourself, but for others." 20 minutes later, the scanners detected life signs in the colony's emergency shelter. Lena's parents were alive, along with 47 other colonists. They had barricaded themselves in the medical bay, her father defending the wounded while her mother performed triage under impossible conditions. Exactly as Lena had said. Gorthak stood on the bridge as his warriors extracted the survivors. Lena sat beside him, her small hand bandaged, her eyes glued to the view screen. When the feed showed her parents being brought aboard, she trembled but didn't run. She waited, dignified, until they were brought to the bridge. The reunion was chaotic. Tears, embraces, disbelief. Lena's father, bloodied and exhausted, looked at Gorthak with a mixture of gratitude and confusion. "Why?" he asked simply. The war chief looked at Lena, who stared back with those impossibly brave eyes. "Your daughter taught me that humans are not prey. They are not slaves. They are—" He searched for the word again. "They are pack." From that day forward, the Korvath never attacked another human colony. Gorthak became an advocate for peace with humanity at the Galactic Council, his testimony shocking the assembled species. He spoke of a 9-year-old girl who had stared down death itself, not for glory or conquest, but for love. The other species listened, wary of humanity's growing influence. But Gorthak knew something they didn't. Something he had learned in that cage, watching a small, terrified, impossibly courageous child fight with everything she had. Humanity's true weapon wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their refusal to surrender what they loved. It was their ability to turn fear into fuel, pain into purpose, and certain death into one more chance to protect their pack, and that made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Years later, when Lena Carter became humanity's youngest diplomatic envoy, she would carry a small token, a Korvath honor claw, given to her by an alien war chief who had learned that sometimes the smallest warrior teaches the greatest lesson. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's fighting anyway, and humans, they always fight anyway.